The reason that people are still braving and going out on the street is that they're frustrated and they understand that the only way for them to survive is moving forward. I hear this over and over again from different people inside Iran, that for people inside Iran, there is no looking back. There is no turning back. It doesn't matter what's going on, how much government is going to oppress. They will try to find a way to oppose the government and overthrow it. And that's something you need to understand the context as well, that how oppression works in that country at the moment. So the government has spent a lot of money on surveillance cameras, improving its technical oppression and surveillance equipment, as well as redesigning the streets. So wherever in the cities, it was possible for people to gather in one place, they redesigned it, put the fences up, and redirected the traffics in a way that it becomes more and more difficult to find a space even to go in a public space and stage a protest. But there's still, as you mentioned, we still see people taking to the streets and showing their disobedience. One way is that, and the other way is going to the graves of people who passed. Today is actually the day that we realized Nikasha Karami has vanished after, in the protest that happened last year. And then 3 days later, her body is found raped and murdered, although the Islamic Republic claimed that she created a false documentary and claimed that she committed suicide. So there are a lot of anger that is still alive because no one managed to find justice. The government still oppress people. And the people, although the financial situation is really bad, they understand there is no proper management of the country, and a lot of people are going under the poverty line. Still, the demand is around liberty, it's women's rights, it's about environmental rights. And these demands are heard from different layers of the society. And I think that will be something that we will see growing and growing over time, because these demands are something that are really close to people's heart. And when people are passionate about it, they're not going to stop reaching out for them.
And, you see, as you point out, this increased surveillance, making it very difficult. I understand the morality police are going to be back monitoring women. At the same time, women are increasingly removing the hijab, loosening the hijab, defying what the authorities are planning to do.
Yeah, they are. And it actually gives me goosebumps every time I talk about it, because I lived in that country for 25, 26 years. I moved outside 15 years ago. And I still feel the fear and the courage that they have to take and go on the streets. They get fined for, not wearing the hijab. We've seen a lot of brave women, even like business owner. There's a case of this, she is a prominent businesswoman who has started this fascinating startup. And she, in her startup, took the veil off and posted official pictures of the team and herself without wearing the mandatory hijab. And when the government put pressure on her, she bravely defied the government. She left the country recently, but still her business is inside Iran. And there's a kind of, responsibility and how you would move forward at the same time defying the government, because the government is going to find ways not to only harass yourself, but if you have other people relying on you, they're going to harass them as well. So women especially, are managing these kind of things really interestingly. And I think this is something that would help us to understand what we want in the future for Iran, and then how to reach there, because we are seeing a lot of bravery, a lot of amazing and, standing people by their values, and all of these, I think, will contribute to a free, equal Iran in the future.
How, we saw fresh sanctions from the US, the EU and the UK, but at the same time we saw billions released this week for the prisoner swap deal. How frustrating is that? What does the international community need to do to give Iranians, and particularly women, support?
This is really interesting. We held a meeting in the Parliament, UK Parliament yesterday, and it was really interesting to hear the MPs and members of House of Lords coming and actually, telling us that they feel still that the sanctions are not enough because the sanctions hasn't been implemented in the right way. They haven't tracked the right people yet. It needs a task force that is much more complicated to put in place. And they were demanding for more sanctions on Iran. At the same time, there is this, as you mentioned, there is this kind of hostage-taking situation that the Iranian government has managed to make it a money funnel for themselves. When like around 6 months ago, Iran was in a really dire situation in terms of financials. The Islamic Republic didn't have enough money to pay its police forces to oppress people, and there are leaked documents around that. But they managed by to fund themselves by releasing some funds back then, and then this fund that went to them again is going to release other people. It's a really horrifying situation because these people were I know some of them, I know people around them. They were business people, like the American hostages that were released, and they were unjustly imprisoned. So I understand the governments are in a really a sensitive situation that they want to help, for example, these people who are imprisoned unjustly. But I don't believe that giving the Iranian regime the money would actually change anything. There are videos, there are quotes from the high commanders of the IRGC, Iran's Revolutionary Guard, that are actually saying we're going to make them money for the whole country, for the budget of the country, by taking people hostage, foreigners hostage, because why should we go and open up to the other countries? That's their exact sentence. We can't take enough people hostage to run the country for years and years. And I think the international community needs to understand that mindset and needs to elevate and use the international mechanism that already exists and use them to put pressure on Iran, on high commanders in IRGC, and make sure they're not going to continue this hostage-taking situation, and at the same time, elevate the way they're implementing the sanctions.
Yeah. Negin, good to really talk to you about this. Let's hope things ease eventually. Good to have you on.
Thank you.